My name doesn't matter for this story, so just call me the magnet engineer who almost got walked out of CERN in handcuffs for a mistake she never made. I've spent 7 years on the LHC's Point 5 team, the sector near the CMS detector, keeping watch over the quench protection system, the network of sensors that stops a $40 million superconducting magnet from tearing itself apart if it loses superconductivity for even a fraction of a second. On July 3 this year, we were 9 days from the final beam dump. After that, the whole accelerator would go cold for a long shutdown 4 straight years of tearing out over a kilometer of tunnel to build the high luminosity upgrade. 4 years. I'd never seen this machine sleep that long. 2 weeks before shutdown, management brought in a new coordinator named Julien Fabre. He'd run shutdowns at an industrial gas plant before, and he made sure everyone knew it. His first week, he told our group lead that our checklist procedures were, quote, bureaucratic theater, and that we were behind schedule because engineers like me insisted on double sign-offs before touching the interlock system. On the night of July 9th, Sector 5 to 6 was scheduled for a routine ramp-down test on dipole magnet MB.A25 before extraction crews could touch it. Standard procedure, 2 engineers verify the quench heater interlock is armed, log the timestamp, and only then does the ramp-down begin. I was the primary that night. My secondary was out sick, so protocol said I had to get Julien, as shift coordinator, to countersign the interlock check before we proceeded. I paged him. He told me, over the radio, to just start the ramp, I'll sign it after, I'm dealing with something at point 1. I refused. I told him I wasn't touching that magnet without a countersigned interlock check, full stop. He got irritated, said he'd handle it himself, and 15 minutes later the control room showed the interlock flagged as verified under his badge number. So I proceeded with the ramp down. 11 minutes in, MB.A25 quenched. Not catastrophically, the energy extraction system did exactly what it was built to do and dumped 130 megajoules into the resistors like a controlled burn, but a quench during a supposedly de-risked test meant an automatic incident review, and it meant 3 extra days of inspection before extraction crews could even approach the magnet. On a 4-year shutdown with a fixed 2030 restart date, 3 days is real money. Julien found me before the review board did. In front of my group lead, he said I had rushed the interlock verification and skipped a sensor check to save time because I wanted to leave early. He said it with a straight face. My group lead looked at me like she didn't know what to believe. Here's the thing Julien forgot, every single action on the QPS terminal is timestamped down to the millisecond and tied to a badge number, because when you're protecting equipment that can release the energy of a small explosion, trust me isn't a safety protocol. I pulled the interlock log in front of both of them. It showed his badge, not mine, verifying the sensor check at 11:47 p.m., 6 minutes after he'd told me over a recorded radio channel that he was still at point 1. I pulled the access control log next. It placed him physically at point 1 until 11:52, 5 minutes after his badge had supposedly verified a sensor 2 kilometers away in sector 5 to 6. He hadn't skipped a step because he was busy. He'd forged the sign-off from a different location entirely, probably assuming nobody reviews interlock logs unless something goes wrong. Something went wrong. For a second, nobody in the room said anything. My group lead, Carla, just kept scrolling back through the timestamps like she was hoping they'd change if she looked hard enough. Julien tried a different angle. He said maybe the terminal had cached an old badge session, that these systems glitch all the time, that I was the one who should be explaining why I'd started a ramp down without a live countersign in the room with me. I told him I had started it because the terminal showed a valid interlock verification under his credentials, exactly like the procedure required, and that if he wanted to argue the system was untrustworthy, that was a separate 5-alarm problem for a facility running 400 superconducting magnets. The incident review board pulled both logs themselves, cross-referenced them against the radio recording, which the control room automatically archives, and confirmed the timeline in about 20 minutes. Julien tried to argue the badge reader must have malfunctioned. Then someone pointed out badge readers don't also generate matching radio transcripts of someone claiming to be somewhere else. He was pulled from shift coordination that week and reassigned off long shutdown 3 entirely. My group lead apologized to me personally, and the interlock procedure I'd supposedly been too slow following got written into the updated LS3 safety manual as mandatory, no exceptions, for the whole 4-year shutdown. I still think about how close it came to being my signature on the report instead of his, and about how the only reason it wasn't is that I refused to skip a 2-minute countersign on the one night it would have mattered most.